Veteran journalist Catherine Herridge was a big player at Fox News, won Emmys for her work at CBS News, but was laid off earlier this year. Now running her own site, Catherine Herridge Reports, she's been dropping bombshells about what happened at CBS and the bias that may have contributed to her being let go. Some of it related to her coverage of Hunter Biden. Back in 2022, Herridge tried to report on the infamous laptop, did a lot of legwork. She says that report was shelved. In fact, she just alleged that the news bosses at CBS defied orders from the top folks at CBS Network who told her to investigate it. She also says she tried to interview Elon Musk last year. That, too, she says, thwarted by news execs afraid to give Musk a live platform on their streaming service. And she says after she reported on special counsel Robert Hur's report on President Biden and the classified documents he'd retained, she was laid off from the network shortly thereafter. Catherine Herridge is a straight shooter. She cares broadly about journalists being able to report accurate stories without interference from the government or their bosses. And she joins us now. Welcome back to the show. Thanks for being here. So you dropped some bombs in the last few weeks on how CBS interfered with your reporting. Let's start with the Hunter laptop. What happened?
Well, I was asked from the very senior levels of CBS, George Cheeks, who oversees CBS News, Sports and Entertainment. I was told that this story was the highest priority for him and his boss, Shari Redstone, and that they wanted accountability journalism that would speak truth to power on both sides of the aisle. And then I just found, Dan, there was this kind of disconnect between this directive I received at the top and internal resistance I found among the executives at CBS News.
And the point being, and you know, you're kind of careful in how you say this, but the bottom line is the concern is that the CBS News bosses were just too liberal, and as a result, were letting their politics infect their judgment.
Well, what I would say through my reporting is that after we did a forensic review of the Hunter Biden laptop, and I went to great lengths to get the same data that was provided to the FBI so that we would have the cleanest copy of the data, we found that it was Hunter Biden's user data. And then we found what I thought were very strong stories to pursue. They included, unfortunately, the use of the N-word in the text messages. We also identified over a half dozen email accounts that appeared to have been used by Joe Biden. I thought that was a legitimate story. The bottom line is that I ran into roadblocks, or I was simply told it was just not a story that CBS News was interested in.
All right, let's talk about your Elon Musk interview, apparently quashed because he insisted on being live. This is, by the way, before he was with the Trump campaign.
Yeah, so just to set the stage, it was the fall of 2023. I had tried to enterprise a story that would bring the Twitter files to CBS News. It didn't get as far as I had hoped, but an interview opportunity developed with Elon Musk, and the offer was to do a live interview with him on X. So I took that opportunity to the CBS News executives. And they said, you know, we just can't do it live. And I was like, what do you mean we can't do it live? And they said, well, we don't know what he's going to say. And I was like, wait a second. Isn't that what journalism is all about? The short story is that a number of conditions were set on this possible opportunity with Elon Musk that included doing something taped, editing it, only having it on the CBS News platform. And frankly, I felt so ashamed that a news organization would place so many restrictions on an interview. And you know, Dan, typically it's the interview subject that's placing the restrictions on an interview, not the network. I never went back to Elon Musk and said, I'm sorry, I know you're all about free speech, but they want to put these conditions on it. I just couldn't go back to him with that.
Why do you think you were let go there at CBS, bottom line?
It's really a call for them. I've always maintained that I'm grateful for the work that I've done with my employers. They decide whether I work there or not. But if you just look at the fact pattern here, you can see that there was a lot of internal resistance with the Hunter Biden reporting, also special counsel Robert Hur and his findings related to Joe Biden, and I was let go. But more importantly, my reporting records were seized. And that is just a red line that no corporation should ever cross in the future. And because my union stepped in and there was a lot of public outrage, CBS News did the right thing and they returned those files. But even seizing those files has a chilling effect on investigative reporting.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's inexcusable. All right, let me ask you another broad question about media. I was just talking to Eric Bolling about Kash Patel, and he's been threatening to go after the media. Let me play a little bit about what he said.
Sure.
We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice.
I assume you find that troubling.
Look, the bottom line for me is that we've heard Republican administrations and Democratic administrations say they're going to go after journalists and their sources, and we've actually seen that happen, Dan. I think one of the most aggressive, in fact, was the Obama administration. And I think big picture, it just underscores the need for this press shield law at a federal level, the Press Act. That would give broad protections to reporters and their sources. So to me, it's not a left issue or just a right issue. It's a democracy issue. If you believe, like I think you do, that good reporting is really the foundation for accountability in our government.
I do, but I think that also allows us to criticize the right on certain things and the left on certain things without sort of taking doctrinaire positions one way or the other. I mean, you mentioned the Press Act, right? Supported in a bipartisan way. It seemed it was sailing through. And then Donald Trump came forward and said they shouldn't move forward with it, right? And now it may be stalled.
Well, I said on NewsNation just about a week ago that I would welcome the opportunity to sit down with President Trump. I think he's an open-minded and fair-minded individual. I could hold my own with him.
I'm sure you could.
Sat down with him twice before.
You're not going to convince him on this.
I think what he should hear is that because I had the protection of my confidential sources, I was able to expose the defects in the Russia collusion case. And if something should matter to him, I think that's an issue that should.
Yeah, I would hope he's listening, because I agree with you. This isn't about, one side or the other side. It's about being able to report on the stories that are hard to report on. And that's the kind of report.
It's about accountability.
Yep, and accountability.
Yeah, if I can just jump in, it's totally about accountability. And it's also about a marketplace where we're seeing an explosion of independent voices, smaller newsrooms, new cable operations like NewsNation. They need to have the protections because they cannot withstand sort of the lawfare, which will dissolve these newsrooms, and it's going to silence a lot of voices.
Yep, I think it's very important to hear it from someone like you, who's viewed as a straight shooter, because this is important stuff. Catherine Herridge, thank you for coming back on the show. Good to see you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.